This is the Change Underground. I'm your host, John Moore. Decarbonise the air, recarbonise the soil. Way back in the dim dark past of 2016, in those halcyon pre-COVID days, on the first of that month, this feed first hit the interwebs, in all my naive, open-eyed wonder. A full 7 years, that number so beloved of Celtic heroes and their times in the wilderness, the time required to develop a given itch for those of us of a certain age. For the younger listeners, I've provided a link in the show notes, and in the interests of accuracy, it was released a full 6 years before I burst upon this planet, but still part of my cultural milieu. But I digress. The past month's posting of the most listened to episodes of the last 7 years has raised some interesting points. Weeds are a thing that interests people, apparently enough. It is odd. Having stumbled across Masanobu Fukuoka so many years ago I'm unable to accurately remember when, the idea of weeds continually bemuses me. Our immediate past manager at the disability service I work for, where I run our horticulture program, decided a Christmas tree farm would be a brilliant idea. I shrugged. Managers come, managers go. I'd humour him, and we planted the first batch of 200 spindly little radiata pine with the idea of Christmas tree sales in 4 or 5 years. I mowed a grid, the boys, and yes, they are all men at the present time, planted all 200 in an hour or so one afternoon. We mowed between them, and then things changed. Mowers died, tyres went flat, and the grasses regrew. I was not, having observed Fukuoka's principles for a few decades, overly concerned when the grasses grew over the tiny saplings. Don't panic, think it through. How do these things grow in nature? The clients and the more troublesome carers would be silent in contemplation for long enough for me to hustle everyone back to our little building and suggest a coffee. Well, about 2 weeks ago, as the dry Mediterranean-style summers we have here in northwest Tasmania kicked in, a worryingly dry spell occurred and the grasses died off, and there, standing proud above the dying mulch, stood about 185 healthy growing larger saplings. The ground around them had been continuously mown, and some clown had clipped the edge of the plantation, taking out 5 trees before realising their error. Valuable lessons are being imparted to my charges, both paying clients and employed staff. In the glasshouse, the annual dose of whitefly has arrived. I and my charges, have discussed, Googled, tried and failed at many things over the years to overcome this annual treat. This year we have attempted a 2-pronged approach: aluminium foil strips on the mulch to attract the whiteflies away from the undersides of the bean leaves, and calendula and nasturtiums to repel them from the beds in the first place. Every source we checked stated with biblical certainty that the 2 aforementioned plants would be so unpalatable and release such aromas that the whitefly would commit seppuku rather than suffer their charms. The aluminium foil was a we've tried everything else, can't hurt approach. The foil seemed to be effective, until it wasn't. The calendula and the nasturtiums were an altogether different matter. The whitefly, well, our particular ones anyway, seem to have a particular liking for these companion plants. Rather than repelling the pests, they have moved in, wrung their entire extended families and brought them over for a holiday in our glasshouse. Previous tricks included hanging white sheets covered in surface spray, yellow fly papers to attract and hold the pests, and neem oil. The neem oil sort of worked, but also killed the plants we had sprayed, so not really a viable option. The sheets and fly papers did attract some whitefly, but I suspect only the dim-witted ones, thereby improving the locals through Darwinian selection. On an up note, whilst the beans are being destroyed by the whitefly, the broccoli and the kale are not. Equally gratifying is the survival of the gifted strawberry plants. 2 people have dropped off surplus strawberry plants over the past year. The first lot struggled for months before bursting into life and producing both fruits, some even making it out of the glasshouse, and runners. The second delivery has followed the same pattern, but has burst into life much more quickly. The plan is to slowly replace the vegetable beds with strawberries in the glasshouse and eventually the 2 polytunnels running alongside it. This will make the program more than self-funding. The plan then is to start planting raspberries in the outdoor area of about 400 square metres. And this will make us well and truly profitable and fund blueberries and bird netting. The plan then is to value add, creating jams, preserves and sauces to upskill our people further with both practical production skills and some business skills too. Besides the upskilling, the point is we have adapted the conditions, the annual whitefly issue, and headed towards things that do not interest those pests. Therefore, in theory, they will not be an issue. We avoided the burning of fossil fuels in the proto-Christmas tree farm, and this benefited the trees while teaching a valuable lesson about not to worry about weeds. How far the teaching travels is a difficult thing to predict. The inertia of this is the way we have always done things is difficult to overcome, but like water on a stone, I keep dropping little examples. And the clients get it. The staff, not so much, but then they already know. And it is difficult to add new knowledge to those who already know, as it is to add more tea to a full cup. Namaste, as they say. Change Underground Academy No Dig Gardening course is still available, link in the show notes. Please tell your friends. Decarbonise the air, recarbonise the soil. Thank you all for listening, and I'll be back, all things being equal, next week.